Hello, good morning to everyone. We warmly welcome you to our 5th virtual roundtable. We are creating this space every 2 weeks for the industry to meet. Today we have a great lineup of panelists. They will talk about coming together, innovation, disruption, and remittances. Before we start, I would like to let you know that all attendees will have their cameras turned off and their microphones muted. At the end of the virtual roundtable, panelists will be given a space to answer participants for questions which can be submitted by using the Q&A tool located at the bottom of the screen. You can simply send questions via chat. Today we have the honor to have with us our director of the Platinum Network, Mr. Hugo Cuevas Mohr. He's also our CEO for More World Consulting. We have Pablo Gonzalez, co-founder and CDO at Bitso. We also have Alexandre Liuzzi, co-founder and CSO at Remittance Online and BeeTech. Simon Chamorro, co-founder and CEO at Valiu. And Mr. Josep Arroyo, founder and CEO at Baluwo. So I'll leave the word to you, Hugo. Welcome.
Okay, so can I move the PowerPoint, Claudia?
Yes, let me go ahead and give you access.
So good morning to everyone. Buenos dias. It's a pleasure to have you all on board today. I'm very excited about this this virtual roundtable today. Everything really started. I still cannot move it, Claudia.
You can't move it?
You can move it for me. I don't mind.
Okay, that's all right.
So next. Let me see. Can you move to the next one? No. Next slide. It's not moving for me. Claudia, it's moving for you?
It is moving for me.
Is it moving for somebody else? Or not for me?
For me, it's still in the first slide here, the panelists.
Yep. Okay. All right. So.
Let me move it for you, okay?
If you want me to share my screen and do it myself, I'll do it.
I think it's because it's not giving me access. I'm sorry, Hugo. I'll stop sharing and I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll go on talking then, and then okay. Claudia will see if she can do it. So most of you know me. I'm Hugo Cuevas Mohr. I've been in this remittance space for so long. I just can't remember. This virtual roundtable came up because I was writing a blog about innovation, and it just occurred me to think of all the companies, very innovative, pioneer companies that started, that came to IMTC conferences from the beginning. And then I remembered how companies, for example, like Zoom, when they were first coming out, they came to IMTC, and it was funny because I remember how people laughed about who's going to use a debit card to send remittances. That's not going to happen. And so I was remember also when we had our first presentation about Bitcoin, and that was in 2012 with Roger Ver, the Bitcoin Jesus. And Roger was excellent. It was most of us just didn't understand what the hell he was talking about, but it was an introduction to cryptocurrencies very early on. Remember with Ripple, then OpenCoin came, had a booth, and at our trade fair, and it was very interesting just to see people come to the booth and try to understand what they were offering. Also TransferWise, and TransferWise, I have an anecdote because our Lithuanian friends were so tall, we couldn't raise the microphone as high as they were, so he had to bend over to make his presentation. And And like that, Pablo came to IMTC very early on. I remember, Pablo, how good it was to meet you, to learn what you were thinking of doing, and just see how much Bitso has grown and matured and developed since those early times. Um, Many others. I maybe am failing to mention a number of them. Bitstop, that company in Miami with the ATM, Bitcoin ATMs, and others from overseas, that were very early on. So that really makes me think that innovation has always found a place in everything we do at the IMTC and the Platinum Network. And as a consultant, I've been very lucky to consult to some of those startups just to help them grow and develop. And most of the time with the startups, okay, I'm in a room and the median age is probably 25. So supposedly I could be very out of place, but I just try to be as open as I can to bring some maybe experience behind what I tell the startups, just to watch out for this, watch out for that. We started the REMTech Awards we had the idea in 2016, and the idea was just to foster innovation, just bring companies that were doing something interesting, and maybe startups, maybe even group of students doing a master's or doing a project in university, anything. And we were very lucky that the Global Forum, and I'm going to talk about them and Pedro de Vasconcelos, they were very nice in saying, Hugo, you can host the Remittance Awards in our Global Forum. So the first year was 2017 and was in the United Nations. And for me, it was a significant moment because, you always see in the United Nations, so it was my first time there, and it was moving. And we had the REMTech Awards there. Bitso got that year an award. Pablo, I do remember, and we had others awards. Zoom got an award, Azimo, and Everex, and others that I am sorry I can't remember. I don't, but it was a good moment. The next year we were also with the REMTech Awards in the Global Forum in Kuala Lumpur, in a beautiful setting. It was a beautiful moment, and we were able to hand the awards there. In 2019 we were in London in our IMTC EMEA conference, and this year we were really very happy working with IFAD and Pedro and his team, going into the awards in Nairobi, Kenya. So it was in June. It was postponed to October, but it's not going to happen this year because the COVID-19. So they're moving the Global Forum to next year in June, and you're going to have a lot, you will see us informing about that. But we had so many entries really that we decided, hey, let's do the awards this year anyway. It's been a difficult year with the COVID. We had postponed events. So we are doing the REMTech Awards this year in Miami in November in IMTC World, where we really hope to see everyone. We're going to have all the precautions that exist, and to see if we can do if we can have just a great event in Miami in November, hopefully. And we have una velita prendida, as we said in Spanish. We have a little candle lit, and just our hopes, to concentrate our hopes in a good conference in November. Now, the next slide, Claudia. So we really, I want to talk about Pedro Vasconcelos because he's always been really fostering innovation, and that's why we partner in doing the REMTech Awards with them. So Pedro and his team at IFAD is the person behind the International Day of Family Remittance. That was last week, 16th of June, is our day. It's now recognized by the United Nations. And the Global Forum next year is going to happen in June 14 to 16. So, and we have to make something out of this, out of this day. Also, click next, Claudia. So we also, I want to mention that Pedro, right at the beginning of the COVID crisis, called upon a number of organizations, including us, to be part of the Remittance Community Task Force. And I was part under the leadership of Leon Isaacs from the DMA on the private sector. And we did a great work. There is a report. I think you should look at this report. We have shared the link. We plan to have another virtual table on that report and analyze it, and how important it is for fintechs and for innovators, because of course there is a big push for digital remittances in many ways, because a lot of migrants, maybe for the first time because of COVID, decided to try some of the apps and mobile applications, and whether they'll stay there or not, that is to be seen. But also, the cash agents have also decided to be creative and serve their clients digital in their own way. Regulations is complex on that sense, but I see a movement of doing the best we can to serve clients on both sides, on the sending side and on the receiving side. And you're going to hear about a panelist talking about that. That's all what I'm going to say. But everyone that is listening to us, if you have innovations, if you have ideas, come forward. I will give my time to speak with anyone and help them, just come up. But most of the time, I'm just so overwhelmed by the creativity. The fintech creativity in remittances and just in payments in general is absolutely fantastic. We're really moving forward. Whether it's a disruption or not, I don't get into those discussions. Yes, it's a disruption. It's like a wave. It's also evolution, and since I've been in this industry, and I make fun that I deliver so many faxes, and that was the first big change in this industry. Well, we've moved a lot from there, and you're going to see with this panelist that we have. So we're going to start with Pablo and Bitso. So Pablo, take it over and tell us about your experiences with Bitso and the industry, please.
Thank you, Hugo. And it was great, like hearing the stories. I remember perfectly the first IMTC in San Diego in 2014, and our understanding of the remittance industry, of the crypto industry, of how money is moving with this, through Bitcoin or Ripple or things like that. It's changed completely since. I think a lot of the assumptions we had proved to be true. Some of them obviously not. It's very humbling to look back and see how naive we were in some ways, right? But I'll go in and I'll talk about a little bit about what we're trying to do. These panels about innovation and remittances, and basically what Bitso is trying to do. It's our mission is to make crypto useful and universally accessible. If you go to the next slide, please. So, and this is very important for many reasons. I know we're talking about remittances and I'm talking about cryptocurrencies. We're not afraid to say Bitcoin. That's at the heart of what we do. And And one of the things that we believe is that there's an alternative financial system, radically improved, that's global, borderless, that's being created on top of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. And one of the things that Bitso is doing is giving access to people and businesses to the use cases and the benefits that they can get out of this new financial system. It's like a parallel universe in a way, right? That and when we think about remittances, I want to step back a little bit and talk about like how the remittance industry came to be. And it started with the need from moving cash around the world, right? Like person A would go in and put in their paper cash at the store, their paper pounds in at the store, and on the other side of the world, paper rupees would come out on the other side. A person would come back from work, stop at the store, place a couple Benjamin Franklins with the hope that a few thousand Mexican pesos would come out, right? So one of the things that's that's very important, right? To remember how it all started. I remember talking to Hugo back in the day about when, like a couple decades ago, how the industry was just getting regulated, like properly regulated, and there was frameworks around the world that were coming out. Like one thinks about the remittance industry as something that's had the infrastructure it's had as like banking, right? Like regulation is sold as banking, but it's actually fairly recent. And we cannot forget the need of moving that cash around, right? But that's, sorry, one second. Sorry, somebody's coming outside that. But what's very important about this is that we're trying to, you know, as the need of moving cash around, that's inefficient, that's local, it's based on local financial systems that are closed loop, that are the silos that exist around the world. And then cash, you know, it's physical, you have to move it around, you have to exchange it. There's a lot of costs and a lot of intermediaries that happen in that situation. And when you think about something like cryptocurrencies, like that's digital, it's borderless, you can trade it, settle it, and do the transaction at the same time. And but to connect the needs of the people, of moving cash around, of having to deliver cash to the families, to this very very new financial system, it's a long ways, right? There's a lot of things that need to happen. And one of our approaches has been from starting from the back end. These are some of the learnings we've had over the years. So we believe that the entire Forex, if you want to move to the next please. Thanks. So one of our beliefs is that the entire Forex market is going to be consumed by, like, it's going to happen on top of cryptocurrency exchanges. It's just better, like it's real time, the settlement's real time, the trading, like you can, the settlement, the transactions, and the trading at the same time. And some of the technology that some of these cryptocurrency exchanges are building, it's actually a lot better than some of the traditional Forex technology. So it's very interesting to see how, you know, you have this very new industry that's starting to get a lot of momentum around the world, starting to get a lot of liquidity around the world. And that's a little bit of our approach. Basically, we're starting with the backend, with the settlement and the trading, the Forex, you could say. And it's all happening via cryptocurrency to move more money around. Right now, we're working with money transmitters, with established money transmitters, and we have been growing the remittance volume that's flowing through cryptocurrency very fast from the US to Mexico corridor. Right now, 7.5, close to 7.5% of the remittances are flowing through Bitso. And this is crazy. Like when I remember, like when I was in that IMTC, like it just seemed like impossible, right? And the growth is happening more and more. Like now with the COVID situation, like actually we've grown twice since this whole COVID thing started in terms of overall volume. In terms of remittance volume, it's 3x or 4x, and one of the reasons is just because it's more efficient. And one of our beliefs, like I want to go back to the original story about like moving cash around, because one of our beliefs is to start in the back end and start moving closer into the front end, into the user, right? How the user is experiencing money, moving money around the world. We have basically 3 products. One is an exchange, Bitso Alpha, that's for traders, that creates a liquidity. We have our Bitso app, which is for consumers to come and access crypto easily and its use cases. And the third one is our cross-border offering, which is more of a infrastructure service right now. But what's really interesting is that we see our app users, we have close to 1 million users now. And some of these, like a few thousand, are using it to move money around the world. The user experience might not be there today. It's getting a lot closer. But we see them moving value, like keeping, and this is people that like were even unbanked before Bitso, keeping assets in other currencies. I think probably Simon's gonna talk about that more, but we have like the growth of stable coins with the entire financial crisis has gone up tremendously. We have a ton of customers that are converting their value to USD and use it on their everyday. So when you think about the needs of the original industry, I think that's about to disappear. Like it's gonna take a few years. Today, cash still king, but I do believe that the possibilities for people, even the ones with limited access, to hold assets in different currencies in a seamless way, it's gonna grow a lot faster. The entire idea of sending an international payment, I believe it's gonna disappear. Like today, when you send a WhatsApp, you're not sending an international WhatsApp or a local WhatsApp. You're sending a message, right? Like the need is to communicate. And the way we see a lot of these fintechs play out is that they will gradually move people to the concept of just sending a payment, as easy as you're sending a WhatsApp. You wouldn't even think about the costs because they're gonna be like marginal. And I do believe that the entire remittance industry, like the concept of remittances, will eventually fade. You just send money, right? Because finance is becoming a lot more global, powered by cryptocurrencies. That's the way that we see it. It's a lot more connected, and we do believe that remittances and cross-border transfers is the first use case. I didn't talk about freelancers or small and medium businesses, but there's really interesting use cases there. Just focus a little bit more on family remittances, but that's a little bit where I want to finish.
Thank you, Pablo. And the interesting thing, and I'm glad you mentioned all those. Congratulations for your growth. And this has not happened just by itself. I mean, I know how Pablo and his team have struggled to many moments for many reasons. Banking, regulations, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a journey. This is not, okay, everything fall from the sky. No. Now, it's interesting to see also that the remittance industry began with foreign exchangers, cambistas, and that's the early start. And then it moved through remittance companies because there was so much to be done technologically and logistically. And now, in the way, is moving back to the hands of the forex, but because you know, if you treat any cryptocurrency as a foreign exchange asset, you're going back to what the roots of remittances are. And yes, Pablo says it. We don't know how it will evolve. Every single layer of this industry is evolving. When I talk to companies, why don't you try to settle with cryptocurrencies? Most of the time, a money transfer company will tell will tell me, well, I don't know how to say this to the bank. My bank won't accept if I do this. They are so risk averse. So we still have a lot of things to do. But I definitely, the path is becoming a little bit more clear, and there is more ways to use, especially crypto for settlement. But as Pablo says, little by little, it will go down from settlement to the more and more of the end user. How is that going to happen? We have to see. So now, Alexandre, welcome. I want to hear what Remesa Online is doing. I know Brazil really well because I did one of the first IMTCs were in Brazil back in 2012. And right with the moment, there was a lot of, parallel market, Doleiros, etc. We went to Brasilia to convince the central bank to come to IMTC, just to see how Brazil is changed from 2012 to now is amazing. And I'm very glad to have you. And so the mic is yours, Alexandre.
Thank you very much, Hugo. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, Brazil has evolved a lot, and coming from that, the reason there was a lot of informalities in Brazil. So up until 2012, as you mentioned, there was a lot of dollar paralelo and a lot of black markets transactions happening in the cross-border space. Is also one of the reasons there was very little investment in this segment. There was no incentive to create a more integrated infrastructure, to create a better experience for the end user, such that we became kind of hostage of the current environment and situation with the traditional banking infrastructure, or you had to use the very traditional cash to cash solution. And I was one of, let's say, the victims of this because I've studied abroad and I was an expat from some while between 2003 to 2007. And I had to actually, receive money using the traditional ways. And what Pablo forgot to mention is that for every $1,000 that my father would send me, I would receive 900. Or even 850, and so it's very, very costly. So I've been to the pain point, and that's the reason we've in Remessa Online we've created this mission, and you can move to the second slide. Is that the mission is to create a world without financial frontiers, connecting companies and individuals in Brazil with the rest of the world. So we're focusing here in also not only remittance, but creating global connectivity. In our view, the remittance, the international transfer, it is just one of the use cases, but is usually associated with other, necessities that the customer has. Usually he's sending money out, but he also wants to be able to spend this money in different currencies. So he wants to be able to pay for services. Also, he wants to be able to invest abroad. He wants to have a different type of access in a global access. So we, as Pablo said, we want to be able to create a global financial system where there is no friction between sending money or even actually choosing to transact in a different currency, or even choosing to invest in a different market, or paying for different services in different locations. So in Remessa Online, what we did, and that's the next slide, it becomes clear, we focus in creating a solution that enables using, of course, the digital and online onboarding of customers and complying with all the regulatory requirements and automated AML and KYC procedures to create a scalable processing for payments that allows users to connect either with the remittance, the transfer payments, investment, credit, services, and insurance. And why this is important is I believe a lot, and Pablo knows, we're very, focusing, trying to bring the technology, the blockchain cryptocurrency technology for the remittance space and the transfer space, the cross-border payment space. But this doesn't change the requirements related to regulatory checks, the registration needs, the AML and KYC procedures that is required, and especially when we're talking about Brazil, where we have such intense regulatory process, a lot of bureaucracies, and we have a regulator that's paying a lot of attention. You guys probably saw what happened with Facebook and WhatsApp attempt to launch into the local payment market. It took about 2 days for the central bank to block it and actually make a stop order to MasterCard, then Visa, to block the operation. So the regulator here is pretty active and pretty fast when it's related to payments, because there is a lot of concerns also associated with money laundering, because of that, we believe that you can improve the back end. So there is a lot of improvements that, money, it's funny though, money is digital for a long time. Yeah. So you don't see money. Yeah. This international transfers, it's happening. It's just balanced. Like since, I think, since the SWIFT in 1976, it's just messages. Money doesn't change. But there is a lot of checks and balances. So there is a lot of frictions. And for me, it doesn't make sense that it still takes sometimes 48 to 72 hours to settle a transaction. And there is a lot of problems also that requires most of the players in these industries to have working capital in different regions in order to be able to provide with access for transactions. So I do see that there is a upcoming, and I'm really excited about this transformation in the way that actually the asset will move, and using the crypto technology blockchain for that, such that you will be able to move the asset, not only the messaging, but the asset itself. But I do see that there is a lot of investment that is required to also scale and digitalize the process related to onboarding, to compliance, AML, KYC, because those checks will continue to exist. And this is where we have been investing a lot here in Brazil. So in the next slide, you can understand a little bit what we are doing. And this is quite a complicated slide, but just meaning that we're focusing in, not only capturing the customer, but we are focusing in all the process related to automated KYC, registration of the transactions, accounting and tax procedures, enabling the platform for recurring payments and sending, real-time pricing. Basically what we did, we came out, we rewrote the process for local and global payments compliant with the regulation, and created an integrated platform that enables all the checks, the regulatory checks and balances to happen within our platform. And because of that, we're able to serve our customers better, reduce this frictional cost. So we do remittance. We are the cheapest solution in Brazil for remittance and for any type of transactions. So we're, and it's even cheaper and sometimes faster than even using crypto, because we're able to, for instance, doing a settlement in less than 30 minutes from Brazil to UK, any bank in Brazil to any bank in UK in less than 30 minutes. And the total transactional cost will be 1.3% for the customer. And that's doesn't have any other additional cost in that transaction. So we were able to reduce the friction and reduce the cost by using that scalability on the regulatory process. And for that reason, we are also giving access to third-party providers, to platforms outside of Brazil that want to get into the Brazilian market. So if they have customers they want to send money into Brazil, we have an open payments API that give them access to this infrastructure and enables them to settle transactions into Brazil, but following all the regulatory procedures. So the idea in our view is that we want to be able, and the reason I'm focusing here in the compliance part is because we want to be able to give through access to a wider solution, as Pablo finished, developers, freelancers, small businesses. The friction it's huge for them as well. So we want to be able to help the individuals with the remittance, with payments, and we believe that those individuals, they will be probably transacting through WhatsApp, and what they will be requirement, of course, is APIs and processing such that the transaction can happen seamless. But you will send a message and you want to be able to send money to digital wallets. So of course you need to start to bankerize the population and digitalize this population to come out of cash, which is very expensive to move cash around. So, but remittances will become very, very digital. And then the next wave is how do you actually serve those clients with what they want more than just the sending the money. If they want an international card, they want to actually buy for services, and if they want to do investments, and especially small businesses, if they want to be able to transact as well globally, they have to be able to do so.
Thank you, Alexander. Really very interesting, and really, and when we use the term remittances, well, some of the central banks use it very narrow, just migrant workers. But I use the word money transfers, and money transfers, you said it's growing because globalization is growing too. People are using, because of less friction, as you said, people use it for other things, and this is something that it's been happening. I want to give now to get Simon Chamorro, to talk to us about Valiu. I recently met Simon, and because the Colombian Venezuelan market is so dear to me, I worked mostly on the other side, the Colombians sending money from Venezuela to Colombia. I was part of Titan for many years. It was where I learned this business. Simon, welcome. Congratulations for what you've done. I mean, it is really amazing. So that's why you're here. So I'm just very happy to have you, Simon. Bienvenido.
Thank you guys for the invitation. I think I made the presentation in Spanish, so I'll be sure to translate while I talk. But I think both Alexander and Pablo talked a lot about crypto and remittances and effectivity in money transfers around the world. So I'm gonna focus my speech a little bit more about on what we do, which is basically what we believe is to transform an economy, and it's very specific to Venezuela. So Venezuela became the second largest remittance market in the whole continent after Mexico, with the diaspora, with the crisis that happened. Now, I believe it's the second one. Now, it's estimated that $8 billion are being sent to Venezuela, but it's being sent through a black market. Like Alexander mentioned, in Venezuela, similar to what happened in Brazil back in the day, the way for sending money there is through an informal network of intermediaries. And this informal network of intermediaries happened because Venezuela has capital controls and monetary policies that make it hard for traditional remittance companies to operate. So Western Union doesn't work in Venezuela. You cannot send a wire transfer to Venezuela. There's a lot of things that you cannot do. So crypto became a really good channel or really good rails to transfer value into Venezuela. And so Now we have around 6 million migrants. Most of them are in Latin America and are sending money to support their families back home. But because of these capital controls, they're subject to the black market that charges up to 20%. Yesterday, I was talking to a user and he told me that in the black market, they're now charging $15 to send a transfer that might be $20. So you're paying almost 100%, right? So, and this is what is happening there. And at the same time, specifically to Venezuela, and right now, but not only in Venezuela, this is happening in Argentina, which is hyperinflation or high inflation. And now with the recession, we're seeing it in every Latin American country, the Mexican peso, the Brazilian real, the largest economies in the region are also experiencing high inflation for the first time in many years. And so Venezuela is an extreme case where if you receive the money in the local currency, it's not a great solution because you have to run and spend that money immediately because the next day you will have less purchasing power with the same amount of money. So that's why we're saying remittances, dollars, and crypto are a good way to transform an economy that collapsed. In this case, Venezuela. I want to focus on that because remittances have a really interesting power to help an economy that just collapsed, and at the end, then the people that are being affected more than anything are the citizens, the people that are still there, because the people that are financially savvy and technical, they know how to make money in any type of situation. But the reality is that 99% of the country is having a hard time. It's a really important crisis at a global scale today. And we have the power through remittances and through crypto to help. So I'm actually going to go ahead and follow what Hugo was nice enough to send us some questions to have a. But we think that we're innovating in this industry because this is some of our team, and I think it's important as well to mention them because this is not only me or my co-founders. We have a great team behind us, everybody with the same mission. But I think we're innovating in the remittance space because we're essentially injecting liquidity into this economy through remittances, and liquidity in the form of dollars, of digital dollars, that people can use it to start paying each other and that can use it to save in dollars to protect themselves from inflation. So as Alexander mentioned, the need more than anything today is a full suite of financial services. People don't, the whole remittance market, as also Pablo mentioned, might die as we know it soon. I don't know if it's in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years, but Libra is coming. More and more projects like that one is those are coming. We follow that same theory where remittances, we think that should be free and immediate. And we are doing it today. If you're in Colombia and you have Valiu dollars, you upload dollars to your account, you can send money to Venezuela free and in 1 second. And they can send it back. So we just enabled that recently, which we're super happy about it. And that's what we think is going to happen at a global scale. We're now very focused on this market because achieving that at a global scale is really, really hard. So again, I think our innovation is about making remittances or money transfers free and immediate. And at the same time, in our case, is transforming an economy like Venezuela, just changing it. And we think that we can keep on growing because Venezuela is a huge market. Even though it's a collapsed economy, it's a full economy that is ripe for change. We can leapfrog the economy from what was the old into the newest. It can be a full crypto economy, and that's our bet. And we think that we can start there, but then we can move into other Latin American countries. We're passionate about this region, and we think, apart from Brazil, that they speak Portuguese, but we're the only difference is Brazil, that the language, but in reality, it's the same culture. We're all very similar, and we think that we can be stronger as a region if we have better trade laws and if we have a better way to move money between each other. So, but we're starting in Venezuela. And we can also do partnerships, for example, through the Ripple network that I know Pablo and Alexandre also work in. We can start partnering with them or with anybody, Global 66 in Chile, so that they offer Venezuelan migrants in Brazil, in Chile, and Mexico to send dollars to Venezuela, and we'll just send those dollars there. I mean, we can partner through them through the same backend network that we all can leverage. And that is super, super powerful. And so this is some of the numbers that we have. We recently launched, but we've already moved more than $2 million into Venezuela. And I just want to mention our customers are really medium to medium low class. So they send $20 is the average remittance. So again, moving this amount of money into a closed economy has been a really interesting challenge. And now with the dollars, we think is going to ramp up. So far, we've done fiat to fiat, so Colombian pesos to Venezuelan bolivars. But again, that's more expensive. It's ineffective. Nobody wants bolivars in Venezuela, and Venezuela is getting dollarized. And similarly to Ecuador, who already got formally dollarized, El Salvador as well, Panama as well. And we think Latin America has to get dollarized. I'm not going to get into that topic right now, but it's a deeper topic, but we think it's going to happen. Like Argentina has multiple dollars. Peru in 1980s, they already lived that. And so this is not new. And we're in the same time zone as the US. We need that rail. But just to wrap it up, the last question that Hugo asked me was, well, what has the COVID crisis made for us? For us, it's really been focusing on what matters, like being more laser focused, being more cash efficient. We're understanding now how to actually, what is our path to profitability and to positive unit economics. And also we went full remote, which is super, finally we just closed the office and we think it's important. Similarly to like money has to be global, companies have to be global, and it's been great. Our whole team, we made a survey and they'd rather work from home. We now have people in Argentina, we have people in Germany, we have people in LA, we have people all over the world supporting what we're doing, which is helping a country get out of crisis and injecting that liquidity. So that's what we're doing. I think remittances and crypto are super, super important for doing this, and hopefully it might be a solution for other countries that might end up having the same situation, like Lebanon, who is living that right now, even Argentina as well. So
thank you, Simon. Really, it's amazing, really, what you have done, and so needed, so very needed. We have a question in. How do they receive the funds in Venezuela? And I said that you deposited them in bank accounts in Venezuela. That's the correct answer, correct?
Yeah, in Venezuela, 70%, a little bit over 70% of the country has a bank account, individuals. So it's the most banked country in the whole region, which is funny enough because it's in collapse. But the thing is that cash just couldn't keep up with the inflation. $20 is 1 trillion bolivars today. The thing is that the government took 8 zeros out of the currency, so it's 1 million. In Venezuela, because of that, people just migrated to opening bank accounts and swiping their debit cards. So what we do is that we just offer them through peer-to-peer exchanges and OTCs that are kind of like the last mile to deliver the bolivars to Venezuelan accounts. But we're hoping that to eliminate that and that people start receiving dollars and that they start using them to pay each other, onboarding merchants and other sorts of stuff that are super cool.
Thank you, Simon. Now, I'm going to just introduce you to Josep, and you might wonder when you listen to Josep, why we invited a company like what Baluwo does, but I'm always amazed of the different services around remittances, and even when the beginning of the top-ups and then bill payment and and there's a lot of services related to the international nature of our business. And so, Josep, thank you for coming to us. Because you have been a startup, you've been doing startups for a long time. You're logistics, you're a technical guy, and you have brought all that to this service that you created. So, Josep, which is now in Barcelona, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about your journey with Baluwo.
Thanks, Hugo. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a great pleasure. Thanks to the audience. Wonderful. I've been, listening about remittances, but we're talking about people helping their family back home, but not always sending money is the solution. Not always sending money is the solution. I'm a serial entrepreneur, you said, Hugo, and the last time after I sold out my last company in a big data company, I thought I was looking for a problem to be fixed. I said, if you find a problem, you will find a solution. You will find a customer. And I came across to the problem with the migrants, but it wasn't actually an economical problem. It was a emotional problem. The problem I found is that there's a frustration when people sending money, I don't want to say most of the time, but many times people sending money feels that their money is not well used, is misused. In a way, it's like the money they send is inefficient. But in the other side, in the receiver side, they feel like their families back in Europe or America, they are super rich. They have, they have plenty of money. They should send more money. They need to, receive more money from them. And there's a double frustration, and after trying to understand this frustration, this problem, we came with a solution. It says, you know what? I'm not going to send you money anymore, or at least I'm not going to send you money the same amount I used to, but I'm going to send you a PIN. I will send you a PIN instead of sending money. If with that PIN, you can pick up a bag of rice. So I want to be sure that I will feed you. I want to be sure that you will have electricity. I want to be sure that you will have the food and the construction materials to fix the roof or whatever. So instead of sending money, the alternative is cash to goods, is sending money, but with control. That's the key word, control. When you are helping your family, you want, in a way, that the money you send is used for what you have been sent that money. So now you are able, any migrant, African migrant so far, is able to buy food, construction materials, electricity, a sort of many products from abroad, and it will be delivered right away to your family through a very, very close store. Next, please. So at the end of the day, what we have built is a cash to goods platform, is a payment platforms. We have digitized the last mile. We have digitized a bag of rice. So now a bag of rice, a bag of cement is a digital asset that can be purchased, paid, delivered. Well, electronically can be delivered, but you can you can manage that asset. That's the big innovation I think we have brought. We have digitized that last mile, in a very, very poor place, far away, in a very rural area, you can buy a bag of rice to be delivered to your family. So that's what we have built. We are working now for 3 years. We are operating in 12 countries in Africa, West Africa. We have done 1.2 million transactions so far. We grew last year by 4. This year we are growing by 3, and we expect to grow by 3 at least for the 2 years of the 2 coming years. So COVID affected us in a way very, we are very proud to use Baluwo because most Africans felt that we were the right way to help their families. With some difficulties by sending money, they found that Baluwo was the right way to feed their families using our payment platform to buy food for their families. So we are very proud of that. So
Thank you, Joseph. No, thank you very much. And I tell you, sometimes sometimes it's not really because the funds are misused. It's because you want to direct what to do with those funds, like bill payment. And like bill payment grew because, okay, I want to pay that mortgage to my mother. So that I know that that mortgage is paid, and that I'm not surprised 3 months from now that the money was used to I don't know, help my brother who had a problem, blah, 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 whatever. So sometimes it's just the desire of the sending party to control a little bit of what is happening with their families, and to make sure that, okay, food is there, education is there, and those are my priorities. I'm the one who's sending money. Let's do that. So Joseph, this is very interesting. Now, thank you, the 4 of you. If you have questions, come up. I have some questions that I'm seeing in the screens here. I have answered a couple of them, and it's very interesting because there's some questions in compliance, and I understand that because it happens in IMTC always. It's like there is a sense on the more traditional and established companies that they listen to you guys and they just immediately go, oh, are they really reporting? Are they really controlling AML? Are they really doing that? So because Alexander mentioned this in his talk, Alexander, what do you say about that, about how really fintechs are so are better, are very good in compliance, really, because they're using RegTech, they're using technological tools to do a lot of those things that maybe they were done or still done in very manual ways. Alexander, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I agree, Hugo. Is the first this is a priority for us here, given the current regulatory environment with Brazil, and there is no reason why we shouldn't do it, but be able to do it in a more efficient way. So we understand that as fintechs, we can use technology to leverage that. So what we've been doing, for instance, we're connected with over 5 different types of bureau. We created a proprietary scoring mechanism for AML KYC, where we not only filter the CPF, so the individual identity tax payment number for each one of the customers that is onboarding on our platform, but also we monitor the post-transaction behavior as well. So you have to monitor pre and post transaction behavior. We validate OFAC, definitely. We validate blacklists from, for instance, Western Union blacklists. We have validated different lists in Brazil and abroad as well. So it's combined over 5 types of database that we combine the information to create a digital process to be able to verify all the compliance requirements related to know your customer for those transactions. And that's done in seconds. Yeah. And that's done at a low cost. And I know that most financial institutions, they don't do it, some of the traditional ones, as efficiently, and they do it by batches. So they don't verify all the transactions. That's why some also, because they don't have the scalable process, they also kind of like charge the customer for indirectly for that services as well.
Yes, I tell you, and for me, we have we've worked so hard with compliance through the IMTC conference. Right now we have our international money transfer compliance certification course offered. The translation in Spanish is almost ready. It's going to be online next week. We hope to have the Brazilian translation too. We're doing a US one too. We're doing a European one. So I think this industry understands deeply compliance and AML and CTF controls. We just, as an industry, trying to use technology to help us on that. And yes, of course, there's always the human eye that goes to that. So we finish, we run out of time. If you have questions, all the participants, send them. I try to answer them. I will ask the panelists if there's a question that I cannot answer. But thank you so much for everyone that participated. My panelists, thank you very much. I hope to see you all in Miami in November, God permits. Dios mediante, or like the Guatemalans say, in Dios primero. So thank you very much. And un placer. Claudia.
Yes, thank you everybody for joining our virtual roundtable. I hope you enjoyed it. We really are very happy to have you all. I hope it's not the last virtual roundtable that we can be here.
Thank you very much.
Video went out.
Thanks.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Also, one thing before we go, I'm sorry, just in case that I was seeing that there was other questions left that were unanswered to the blog. So anything that was unanswered in our next blog post, you can join the Peanut community, the Peanut Network community. It's theplatinum.net. Okay, so you can stay tuned.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.